After a little bit of walking around within Old Britannia, our adventurer talks to Madel, the receptionist with the Conjurers Guild in Stalglade fame, whom is quick to introduce the budding adventurer to Esumion, who presides over the Conjurers Guild and also serves the nation as a hearer, a special group of people who can communicate with the elemental creatures that watch over the nearby forest. Esumion, the guild's current guildmaster, is more than willing to take the adventurer on as a pupil of Conjurer, explaining its primary purpose, to heal wounds and protect others. However, he also makes sure to impart that conjurers can also wreak havoc through the elements of earth, wind, and water. After learning a little bit about conjuring, the adventurer is tasked to use said powers and help cull the population of certain creatures that are burdening the well-being of the Twelveswood, as directed by the elementals. However, the path to conjuring is only yet begun, and thus Brother Esumion directs the adventurer to Hero Nolonol, whom is currently in the North Shroud, to learn more about the element of earth. Nolonol points out a patch of soil that bears the mark of corruption. What better way to commune with the power of earth than in battle? As corruption occurs when the land's wounds are prevented from healing, by defeating the tainted earth sprite, the earth's energies can nourish the land once more. With Nolonol's lesson completed, he could not help but point out to another budding conjurer, Sylphie, who has so far been refusing to learn the elemental aspects of conjuring. Sylphie proceeds by healing all those nearby, showing that she is already capable of the healing arts without needing to learn about nature, to Nolonol's reprimand that she could be capable of more if she were to attune to nature.
But I don't want to do more, I want to heal. I'm good at healing, you can't make me do those other things.
With Sylphie gone and the lesson done, the adventurer reports this tale back to Brother Esumion, who explains that conjurers who are ignorant of the source of their power pose a risk to themselves and others, and he hopes that should the adventurer meet upon Sylphie again, that he will be able to impress upon her the importance of nature. However, first the adventurer must complete his own education, and so should seek the teachings of new but talented hero named Wolfew as her first student regarding the element of wind. She requests that the adventurer help clear the air of honeybees, which have taken up residence in a nearby spring. There, the adventurer notices that there were no nearby flowers, so what could possibly have attracted the bees there in the first place? Wolfew confirms it was a disturbance in the wind, which had swept the vile flying insects to be dislocated from their more natural habitat. Returning to the spring once more, the adventurer feels the corruption and is able to temper the tainted wind sprite while Wolfew heals the adventurer's wounds. With the elemental corruption gone, the wind currents return to normal, but Wolfew is wary. Such an opportune corruption might be great for learning, but it is a little too convenient. Could something be afoot in the Twelveswood? While Wolfew will continue to investigate, that is beyond the requirements of a fledgling conjurer, and so the adventurer returns to Brother Esumion to report his newfound knowledge, only to be interrupted by Sylphie, who mocks the idea of a new conjurer having to learn to hear the voice of wind. While the guildmaster reprimands her defiance, Sylphie stays her stance, explaining that her own mother never needed to embrace nature to heal the many people who were thankful for her aid. Sylphie's mother was also a conjurer, unable to use aspects of conjuring beyond the healing arts. Sylphie then boasts of her newfound knowledge of being able to cast Raise, a powerful spell that can awaken those who lay unconscious on the brink of death. Instead of being amazed, Esumion is furious. To ever wield such power without proper training would result in Sylphie's banishment from the Conjurers Guild, leaving a dismayed Sylphie to run yet again. While Esumion requests the aid of the adventurer with another task, to take a flask of pristine water and pour it at the foot of the hedge tree near the hawthorn hut, and draw forth the corrupting entity that is draining the tree's life force. With the tainted water sprite destroyed, the adventurer reports to Brother Joacine, whose tutelage is a reminder that while water is essential to life, too much water can drown the creatures that rely upon it. Balance is key, but alas the lesson has to end quickly as a soldier of the Wood Whalers interrupts with an urgent message. A herd of antelope stags have gone berserk and are attacking nearby soldiers, leaving many severely wounded. Anticipating a greater problem, Joacine sends the adventurer ahead to start tending to the wounded, while he rallies more healers to come. The adventurer learns of the location of the many injured soldiers of the Wood Whalers in God's Quiverbow and sees that Sylphie has also arrived on site, ready to heal those in need. Healing, however, is not enough, as the antelope stags remain furious and keep attacking those nearby. The adventurer uses the elemental powers of conjuring to assist in taking down the beasts, which cannot be soothed, while Sylphie attends to the wounded. The beasts are failed, but Sylphie finds herself struggling to heal those still in need of assistance. But thankfully more healers arrive to assist, including the Guildmaster Ezumion. The Guildmaster beckons to Sylphie again to properly learn the arts, lest she suffers the same fate as her mother, which only angers the child further. The adventurer runs after the child, to find that she is unable to cast healing spells. Her mother suffered the loss of magic as well before she died. Finally, Sylphie starts reflecting. Will she die as well? But she needs time alone to think about this further. The adventurer returns to the Conjurer's Guild to learn that conjurers borrow the power of nearby nature to heal, but Sylphie has been using her own life force, as her mother did. It was through those selfless acts of healing others, but without the proper training, that Sylphie's mother came to accidentally take her own life, and the same fate could fall upon her daughter if she tries to force her body to use her remaining life force to heal others. After no small amount of prompting by the Guildmaster, bordering on coercion, the child has finally promised to attempt to embrace the forces of nature. However, having never learned the art of offensive spells, and being currently unable to cast any spells herself, she would be unable to take on any elemental trials. Instead, the adventure is to purify the various corruptions that have already been found by the hearers, but this time with Sylphie nearby and paying attention. With each corruption slain, Sylphie started to truly feel the earth tremble, the wind's sharp yet gentle breeze, and the water's beauty. Finally, she was ready to truly discuss Conjurer with the Guildmaster, and explained her newfound appreciation of the elements, and the voices of nature she could hear crying out in joy as the corruptions were pacified. But with this newfound happiness and knowledge came her own doubts. Why had her own mother been so afraid of communing with nature? This troubled the young girl's emotions enough that she felt the need to flee the Conjurer's Guild. Thankfully, others have spotted her, and seeing as the adventurer was the one to finally help her through, it made perfect sense that he also be the one to find out how to help her past these new revelations. The adventurer meets up with his previous tutors, who had located Sylphie while investigating a source of great corruption. Sylphie herself was reading her mother's old journal and learned that her mother believed nature to be furious with conjurers using their art, that more people are wounded when mortals abuse nature's power that is not theirs to take. Believing her mother above all else, but realizing that continuing on her previous path could kill her, Sylphie came to one simple conclusion. She would never use her powers ever again and stop conjuring altogether. Furthermore, she could hear the voices being mad, and with this newfound knowledge, reasoned it could only be because nature is mad about the other conjurers using their art to handle the nearby corruption. Sylphie thus ran to meet up with the hearers to try to stop them, while they battled the large tainted earth sprite. She pleaded to them that nature does not want them to use conjuring and to stop, but the conjurers kept on as the corruption wasn't letting up. Elementals appeared, and Sylphie once again pleaded to the conjurers to stop, for fear it would make the elementals angry and put everyone in danger. However, the elementals did not attack the conjurers. No, they helped them by attacking the tainted and corrupted creatures. With the elementals' help, the conjurers were finally able to take down the corruption. Sylphie was amazed. Nature wanted for the conjurers to borrow their power and keep the 12's wood in balance. She returned to the guild to explain what her mother believed, and that she realized that, although her mother's intentions were pure, she loved nature and was fearful using proper conjuring would hurt it, that her mother was wrong. Ezumion was pleased, and could finally explain to Sylphie that her ability to hear nature's voices are a gift, and that if she were to continue on her path to conjuring, she too could be a hearer capable of understanding the will of the elementals and help keep the 12's wood as nature intended. However, something troubled Brother Ezumion still. Those slimes that showed up at these corruptions, these mud pies as they were called, are not native to the forest, and the corruptions have been happening more frequently. Is this truly the end? Or is there something else that is causing all of these disturbances? However, we need more time to think of a plan of action. Sometime later, the Conjurer's Guild would ask the adventurer to help in the investigation, and Sylphie volunteered to go instead. The Guildmaster pointed out that, while it's certainly fantastic that she has finally been attending lectures, she still has yet to master a single offensive spell, and it would be dangerous for her if she were to go alone. But of course, she doesn't have to go alone. With Sylphie's talent for hearing nature and the adventurer's capacity in offensive conjuring, there is much they could accomplish together. Using her abilities, Sylphie locates various sources of corruption that the adventurer takes care of. But were they the source? As more corruptions were handled, Sylphie could feel a far bigger disturbance, something really big, and that felt very wrong. It was her belief that it was the source. The pair investigated, only to find a void scent. The adventurer fought the void scent, and Sylphie attempted her best at the offensive conjuring she had learned from Hero Nolono. The more the fight went on, the better she could wield those offensive powers, and together, they vanquished the void scent. Finally, in a rush of euphoria, Sylphie could fully commune with nature and understand just how incredible this power was, and how to borrow it from it properly so as to not injure herself while healing others. The two returned to the Conjurer's Guild to share in the wonderful news, and Sylphie learned that it was her desperation to help her friend, the adventurer, that allowed her heart to fully open to nature, and nature responded in kind. The end. I do hope you enjoyed this storytelling of the Conjurer questline. This is not only a fantastic story, but it's also a very appropriate tale for any aspiring healers in Final Fantasy XIV out there. To protect others, you must learn to be one with your whole toolkit and embrace both the healing and offensive aspects of your art. If all you do is heal, you may be causing your party and yourself more harm than intended. But yeah, I do believe that marks the end of this A Realm Abridged storytelling. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, do make sure to hit that like button, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to let me know what the Conjurer questline means to you in the comments, and if there are any stories you would like me to cover next. A big thanks to all of you for joining me down memory lane within the world of Final Fantasy XIV. My name is Squintina, and I hope to see you all again soon for more Final Fantasy XIV story. Do feel free to share this around to the people you know who loves this game just as much as we do.